Welcome to this explainer. We're skipping the long introductions today because we are jumping straight into what is, honestly, a completely captivating two-act spiritual epic. We're tracing this incredible journey of devotion that literally spans across entirely different eras of time. I mean, we're starting way back in ancient mythology and landing smack in the middle of 16th century history.
Okay, let's dive into this. It all begins with a really powerful curse that is, at the exact same time, a divine promise. These words, spoken by Sri Krishna, "Not in this life, I will meet you in the next era," they completely set the stage for the ultimate reincarnation mystery we're looking at today. It's literally the story of a soul waiting an entire eternity just to get a second chance at devotion.
Section 1. Dwapar Yuga and Madhavi's Mistake.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Our first act takes us thousands of years back into the ancient era known as the Dwapar Yuga. Now, our focus here isn't on some mighty king or a fierce warrior. Nope. We're looking at an ordinary cowherd girl, a gopi, named Madhavi. So, during this legendary event at Govardhan Mountain, Madhavi stubbornly refused to look at Krishna's face. It was just a momentary mistake, totally driven by ego, but she instantly regretted it. Because of that one refusal, Krishna decreed her soul would have to wait an entire epoch in spiritual limbo. She was to be reborn centuries later in the 16th century Kali Yuga era as the famous Mirabai.
Now, you might be wondering, what's the core theme here? Well, this entire explainer is anchored around one absolutely critical concept, vira. It translates to the profound, aching pain of separation, and Krishna decreed this as Madhavi's ultimate path. In this spiritual tradition, vira isn't just about feeling sad, not at all. It's actually considered an elevated state of perfection where true love and devotion reach their absolute peak, burning even brighter and purer than the joy of physical union.
So let's look at how this intense connection actually started. Folklore tells us that right before her fateful mistake, Madhavi was at the Yamuna River, struggling to lift this heavy water pot. Well, a young Krishna effortlessly stepped in and helped her. And the second their eyes locked, she was permanently mesmerized by his divine smile. I mean, she became instantly oblivious to the physical world around her, completely consumed by a love that would outlast her mortal body.
Section 2. Kali Yuga and the birth of Mirabai. Now, what's really interesting about this is how that eternal love transitions seamlessly across the ages into the Kali Yuga era. This is where Madhavi's soul is reincarnated as a princess in the kingdom of Mrta, the legendary Mirabai. And there are these specific, undeniable signs from her childhood. She wasn't just a pious kid, you know. The sources suggest she was actively carrying over spiritual memories from her past life. Born on the highly auspicious Shard Purnima, she would only stop crying as an infant when placed right in front of an idol of Krishna. Later on, she adamantly claimed a visiting saint's idol as her absolute own. She even mastered an entire curriculum of advanced yoga in just 4 days. It completely stunned her teacher, who realized, wait, she isn't learning this, she's simply remembering it.
The real defining moment, though, comes when her grandfather gives her newly claimed idol a name, Giridhar. Now, this wasn't just any random name. Giridhar translates to the one who lifts the mountain, and this explicitly connects right back to our Dwapar Yuga timeline. Hearing that name triggered a deep, almost cosmic memory of Krishna lifting the Govardhan mountain, which, if you remember, was the exact moment Madhavi had made her fateful mistake. That single word fully awakened Madhavi's soul inside the young Mirabai.
From there, her devotion just intensified completely. After experiencing a mystical vision at a pond, a vision that perfectly mirrored her past life encounter at the Yamuna River, she composed and sang her very first, now legendary bhajan. She confidently declared to the world, "Mine is only Giridhar Gopal, no one else." She was eternally bound to him and him alone.
Section 3. The Queen of Mewar and the Ultimate Test. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive conflict she was about to step into. Her earthly life became incredibly complicated when she married into the powerful, highly militaristic royal family of Mewar. It's like a giant clash of worlds. On one hand, you have the immense physical opulence and strict traditions of the palace. We're talking about her earthly marriage to Crown Prince Bodraj, the brutal expectation to perform sati if he died, and the really heavy burden of maintaining rigid societal honor. But on the exact opposite side, Mira considered herself already eternally married to Girdhar. She was relentlessly pursuing spiritual truth, literally preferring to sit on the floor and sing with wandering saints over attending these lavish royal courts. The historical record shows a rapid, really harsh succession of tragedies that violently stripped away her protectors. In 1521, her earthly husband Bodraj passed away,
She flatly refused to commit sati, stating clearly that her true husband, Krishna, was immortal. Then just a few years later in 1527, the devastating Battle of Kanwa claimed both her own father and her supportive father-in-law, Maharana Sangha. This left her completely isolated and at the absolute mercy of the rigid and frankly furious new ruler Rana Vikramaditya. From fear, the physical danger escalates incredibly fast. First, Rana Vikramaditya and her sister-in-law exile her to a ruined residence outside the main palace, just trying to stop her from associating with the saints. Well, when that isolation didn't break her spirit, the palace resorted to outright assassination. They sent her a cup of deadly poison, completely disguised as sacred temple water. And when she somehow survived that, they sent a basket that supposedly contained a beautiful floral gift, but actually hid a highly venomous snake.
According to established spiritual lore, these frantic assassination attempts were met with some stunning miracles. That deadly poison she drank, it acted as harmless nectar. And when she opened that gift basket, the venomous snake had completely transformed into a beautiful flower garland, which she just calmly placed around her idol of Krishna. Her absolute, unwavering calmness in the face of literal death completely baffled the royal family.
Section 4. Renouncing the palace. Those constant, deadly threats from her own in-laws finally brought Mirabai to a pivotal realization. The palace had essentially become a prison, entirely incompatible with her spiritual journey. Seeking some guidance, she wrote to the great poet and saint Tulsidas Ji, and he replied with this exact written advice: leave the place where people oppose the devotion of Hari, even if they are your own. This letter gave her the final resolve she needed. She permanently abandoned the unimaginable wealth and status of Mewar and chose instead the dusty roads of a wandering ascetic.
Section 5. The Company of Saints in Vrindavan.
So the crucial point is what happens once she's free from those palace walls. She traveled freely among the saints, ultimately reaching the sacred spiritual heartland of Krishna, Vrindavan. And you have to understand how her pure devotion completely shattered 16th century societal norms. While society was busy enforcing strict caste barriers and absolute gender separation, Mira just ignored all of it. She proudly accepted a lower caste cobbler, Santrovidas, as her guru, basically stating that devotion, not birth, determines a person's worth. She confidently challenged high scholars and completely upended the status quo wherever she went.
There is this incredibly powerful anecdote that captures her spirit perfectly. The highly respected ascetic Jiva Goswami initially refused to even meet her, all because he had taken a strict vow never to look at a woman. Well, Mira famously replied with this: I thought there was only one male in Vrindavan, Sri Krishna. We are all his female devotees. It was such a brilliant, piercing response that it totally humbled the great scholar, proving that before God, human gender and human ego are entirely meaningless.
Section 6. Dwarka and Merging with Hari.
This brings us to the final, really climactic chapter of her life. She settled in Dwarka, spending her days completely immersed in devotion at the great temple of Ranchodji, which is another form of Krishna. But, the past wasn't quite done with her. Back in Mewar, a severe drought and political crisis were ravaging the kingdom. The new ruler, Maharana Uday Singh, started to believe the kingdom was actually cursed because of its horrific treatment of Mirabai. So, in this massive twist of irony, the very kingdom that tried to assassinate her now sends a delegation of high-ranking Brahmins all the way to Dwarka, literally begging for her blessing and pleading for her to return.
What happens next is presented in the lore as her ultimate, breathtaking miracle. These Brahmins were desperate. They threatened to fast to death right there if she didn't return with them. Cornered by this heavy plea, Mirabai went into the inner sanctum to ask her beloved Ranchadji for permission to leave. But when the temple doors finally opened, she was gone. The folklore states she mysteriously vanished directly into the idol, merging completely with the Lord, leaving only her odhni, her veil, draped over the deity. Her epic-spanning vira, that painful separation from the Dwapar Yuga, was finally over.
We've traced an incredible hero's journey today, haven't we? From an arrogant gopi named Madhavi in an ancient era, all the way to the immortal Sant Mirabai whose songs are still sung centuries later. And it leaves us to ponder this one profoundly deep question: can true love conquer even death? Thank you for exploring this remarkable explainer with me. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.